Hey everyone, and welcome to XSTEM All Access. I'm Dr. Tracy Fanara, and I'm excited to be part of this series showcasing some of the coolest minds in STEM. In this series, we'll dive deep into the diverse world of STEM careers and the individuals leading the way in science, technology, engineering, and math. As your guest host for this episode, I'm excited to chat with Captain Colton Mott. He's a satellite navigation area lead at the Space Vehicles Directorate for the U.S. Air Force. I'm going to ask him all the questions that you would like to know about his job, like what inspires him and what it's like to be at the forefront of innovations in the GPS technology that we use every day. Make sure you subscribe in the YouTube description below and follow us on social media to get updates on new XSTEM episodes. Check out the full library of episodes on demand right here, and you'll find topics ranging from meteorology to chemistry, sharks, data science, and everything in between. Plus, educators can access NGSS and CASEL-aligned lesson plans to accompany each episode, including today's. These lesson plans are written by educators for educators. With your parents' permission, tell us how you were inspired today by tagging us at USA Science Fest, hashtag XSTEM, and me at Inspector Planet. Before we begin, please join me in thanking our partners, the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Space Force, for making this XSTEM series possible. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm an environmental engineer and hydrologist with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also known as NOAA. I manage our ocean and coastal models here in the US, everything from the bottom of the ocean all the way to storm surge, so that we can better understand how everything in the world is connected and how everything affects us on our coast. I have an organization called Inspector Planet, which is the combination between Inspector Gadget, representing innovation, and Captain Planet, representing sustainability, with a mission to connect people to their environment and get the public involved in scientific research. Now, I hope that you are all as excited as I am to hear from today's speaker, Captain Colton Mott. In his role at the Air Force Research Laboratory, Captain Mott leads a mixed team of government and contractor personnel in researching, developing, and testing advanced GPS technologies for both military and civilian capabilities. And by GPS, of course, I mean Global Positioning System. You know, that technology that helps us find our way around. Captain Mott, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, of course, thank you, Tracy. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to be able to give a little snapshot of my life and talk to these great young men and women here today. So thank you for this opportunity.
I know the audience is super excited to hear from you, so let's just jump into our first question. Your title is Satellite Navigation Technology Area Lead at the Space Vehicles Directorate for the U.S. Air Force. That sounds super complicated, but really interesting. Some of us might not know exactly what that means, so can you tell us a little bit about your role?
Thank you, ma'am. My role as the Satellite Navigation Technology Area Lead sounds complex, but not as hard as you think it would be. I'm sort of a technical program manager, so on the program management side, I manage contracts, I make sure they're performing well, make sure people are spending the money the way they're supposed to. I delegate these funds. I'm lucky to have a budget of millions of dollars that I am able to push into GPS technology research, and I allocate that appropriately. On the more technical side, I also have team members here that are actively doing research on computers or with hardware or with microcontrollers or field programmable gate arrays, all this fun stuff you'll hear about, working in the lab, working on these signals to produce new futuristic technology for the military and for the civilian populace.
I cannot wait to learn more. Most of us can't get through the day without using GPS technology in some form, and that's definitely me. It sounds like most of your current work revolves around researching, developing, and testing advanced GPS technologies. Can you tell us more about the future of GPS and how your work impacts the general public?
So GPS technology has actually was actually started by the Navy several decades ago. Shortly afterwards, it was taken over by the U.S. Air Force. As the years went on, we realized not only the military utility for this technology, but also for the civilian utility. And so, luckily, the Department of Defense decided to share this technology with the U.S. citizens here in North America. And we were able to start using GPS for, at the simplest sense, navigation. As the years went on, the technology continued to grow, and GPS was then shared worldwide. So your friends in South America or Africa or China or Japan, they could also enjoy GPS technology. And so you may think, well, I don't really use GPS that much. I just use it with, with Google Maps. Like, correct. You can use GPS is heavily influenced with Google Maps and Apple Maps. So you can go in there, look up your favorite coffee shop, meet up with some friends at a comic book store, and the maps will get you there accurately thanks to GPS. But some of the more unknown uses that GPS has and implications in our daily life, such as automatic teller machines, or ATMs as we call them. When you go to an ATM, you want to pull out some money. The ATM needs precise timing and positioning to determine, hey, this is, in my case, Colt Mott. He's over at an ATM in New York trying to pull out money right now. But they can then cross-reference that to say, oh, well, we just saw him at an ATM in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So one of those may not be lining up. Let's make sure someone who maybe have stolen my credit card can't then take my money from me. Additionally, it's used in the world of agriculture. And the farmers are able to use GPS and its precise timing to somewhat automate all of their farming practices. As you've seen, as the world's gotten faster and better and stronger, we have AI-enabled technology to include AI-enabled agriculture, so they can partner the smarts and brains of a AI-powered tractor and include it with GPS to get not only the tractor's exact position, but also the timing of where it is. So you can turn it on at bright and early in the morning when the roosters are cooing or squawking, as they say, and then also turn them off later at night. Or if you want to take a lunch break, you can let your machines keep going. All kinds of applications and systems use GPS in this world, some you may not even realize. So the future of GPS is, we have a great system, how can we make it better? And so the simplest terms you can think of is, how do we make it more accurate? And that comes down to precise timing. And so the more accurate we can get the timing technology on GPS satellites, the more accurate we can then give positioning for everyone to use, whether it be the DoD, the Department of Defense, or for us civilians here. And so a lot of my research goes into that. It also includes what's called reducing SWaP, size, weight, and power. So every time you launch something into space, like a satellite, every pound matters. Whether you're sneaking a cookie in your pocket or you got some free weights to keep you fit, that additional weight makes it harder for the rocket to go up. And so the same goes for GPS satellites. And so a satellite is hosted on a rocket, the rocket gets shot into space, it's released, and now it's part of this GPS constellation that we all know and love. And so any technology I can progress with my team here to make the hardware on that satellite lighter or faster or more powerful is a win for all of us here in the world.
We all know that GPS helps us get from point A to point B on a daily basis, but most of us probably didn't connect GPS and artificial intelligence with the food that we eat. That is a really surprising application of this really important technology. I mean, I use GPS to get around because I have a really bad sense of direction, but more importantly, I use GPS when we are taking ocean samples in the open ocean so that when we get back to the laboratory and analyze those samples, we know exactly where those environmental conditions were in the natural environment. You're a captain in the U.S. Air Force, but specifically, you're part of the Air Force Research Laboratory. Can you tell us about this organization within the Air Force, its mission, and what inspired you to become part of it?
Yes, ma'am. So the Air Force Research Lab and its kind of place in the Department of Defense, it is a true research laboratory. And so it covers all kinds of things. There are many different areas within Air Force Research Lab. We call them directorates. So we have the Sensors Directorate, we have the Materials Directorate, or here in Albuquerque at Kirtland Air Force Base, we have the Space Vehicles Directorate. So So here at AFRL, Space Vehicles Directorate, we are charged with producing space-based technology to support space vehicles and the state-of-the-art that is the space environment. More specifically, I'm in what is known as the satellite navigation technology area. So we are charged with creating or researching new hardware and payloads for satellite navigation, such as amplifiers or so signal amplifiers or new GPS signals or new GPS receivers to some degree. And so that's kind of my part in it. But the Air Force Research Lab as a whole all has their own areas of all sorts of things to research, whether it be new engines for new fighter jets or new engines for rockets to go to space, or new, better, faster GPS receivers, so we can, when we're hiking up on the Rocky Mountains, we don't lose our GPS signal, we don't get lost when we're out hiking with our friends and family. I was motivated to join the Air Force Research Lab because I had just completed my master's degree, and the technology was relevant to the mission here, and so I was placed here, or I was assigned here. But more importantly, as time went on and I got more familiar with my job, I could really see the impact and the global impact we have here at the Space Vehicles Directorate, and then also within the Air Force Research Lab. A lot of people think, the military is doing research so they can build better guns or bigger missiles, but as I mentioned before, with the GPS constellation, this began as a military technology. And then as we were able to see the benefit to the civilians here in the United States of America, we then share the technology with the general populace so they can also reap those benefits. And so same for us. We have two main categories of goals. One is a technology transfer and one is a technology transition. And both of those are avenues for us to take the technology we've been working on and then handing it off to someone else so they can then progress it further, albeit either for the DoD or for everyone here in the US.
As a researcher myself, I can appreciate the exploration of innovative technologies taking place within the Air Force Research Lab, and how rewarding it must be to know that you're making such an impact on the world. You mentioned earning your college degrees. What inspired you to pursue your bachelor's degree in electrical and computer engineering, and then your master's degree in electrical engineering? Did you encounter any challenges along your road to a STEM degree? And do you have any words of wisdom for high school students thinking about following a path in STEM?
So, to be completely frank, I was very fortunate and lucky that I was able to go and pursue my bachelor's degree. I actually didn't think I'd be able to go to college. I grew up in a lower socioeconomic household where sometimes even food was scarce. I didn't get to eat every day. And so you'd look at things like college, and that's just so daunting from an economical standpoint or a financial standpoint. College costs, tens of thousands of dollars a year or semester or what have you, and it's just like, how could I possibly afford that? And then even lesser so at the time, college applications were like around $50 a piece for the colleges I was looking at down in Texas. And so for me, $50, that was a good week or two worth of food. So it was scary to even think of college and think of how it would work out. But luckily, I was doing very well in high school. I had good grades, and I was able to pique the interest of certain colleges. So in particular, Baylor University in Texas saw me, and they offered me a free application. So I applied to Baylor. I was able to get in, and I was like, okay, great. And so I got to Baylor, and as most colleges do, beginning of a new school year, they have kind of like a club forum. Like, oh, here's all the different clubs we have here on campus. Do you want to be part of the rowing club, or do you want to join a fraternity or a sorority, or do you want to play baseball, or do you want to be in ROTC? And so I saw one for Air Force ROTC and talked to them, asked them, what would I need to do, and got all that figured out. And I asked them, do I have to study any certain degree to be a part of it? And they said, no, you can study whatever you want, but we really like electrical engineers. I said, okay. I had already kind of thinking I wanted to do a degree in math anyway, so engineering shouldn't be too much different from that. So I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering. And so I signed up to study electrical and computer engineering Obviously, like all college degrees are very difficult, and STEM degrees are no different. A lot more math and science, but it's still difficult, just like all other degrees. So I really enjoyed my electrical and computer engineering degree. I enjoyed the program that I went through. I learned a lot of circuit theory. I learned a lot of computer engineering and machine code aspects to it. And so lots of long hours of studying and staying up late and getting ready for a test, but obviously it was all worth it because after 5 long years, I got my degree and it opened up the door for me to join the Air Force. And if that didn't work out, I could have went and been an engineer or any other sort of technical kind of position. And so for my master's, it was also a bit whimsical. I was already active duty for a couple of years. I was luckily stationed at Wright Pat Air Force Base, which is in Dayton, Ohio. And a lot of my friends started talking about, and coworkers, about the Air Force Institute of Technology, which is also conveniently located at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base there in Dayton. And I took that as sort of a sign, like, okay, maybe I should try out for it. Yeah, I'd been out of school for a couple years. I was nervous. Maybe I forgot some of this math and some of these principles that I really learned in undergrad. So, I was nervous. I was scared. As I've already kind of alluded to, all college degrees are difficult. STEM degrees are no different. It just takes perseverance. You need to sit there, work hard, do your studying, do your homework, take your tests, show up to class, and you'll be bound for success. I'd like to think there's a lot of people in this world that just want to help others, and so college is no different. You go to college, if there's a class you're struggling with, you found some classmates, and they're more than willing to help you out because we all just want to see each other succeed. So although my bachelor's and master's was difficult, especially difficult because it's electrical engineering, luckily I had friends and coworkers there to help me, and it really made the process a lot easier.
Captain Mott, your story is so inspiring. To all the students listening today, there is a path for you to follow your passion, even when it seems impossible at times. And I agree, a healthy dose of perseverance and strong support system will get you everywhere. I had a number of obstacles along my path as well. In fact, I got all 3 degrees from the college I got rejected from 3 times. That's a story for another day. But speaking of your education, you entered the Air Force through the Reserve Officer Training Corps, or the AFROTC. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in this program and how it shaped your professional career so far?
So yes, ROTC was also a bit of a whim to me as well. I'm the first one in my family to go to college and or join the military, so I was on to kind of just doing it all. And so ROTC, as some of you may know, some high schools have junior ROTC, so it's very similar, but there are some minute differences there. And so at the college level, it's just a reiteration of some of the things you may have learned at junior ROTC. But overall, it's teaching you, one, what is the history of the Air Force? We until the Space Force, we were the youngest branch. Now we have the Space Force. And so we actually came out of the Army, or the Army Air Corps, as it was known at the time. And so you learn about the history of the Air Force, you learn of tactics and strategies of how to be a good leader. And then finally, you learn, what does it mean to be a leader in today's Air Force? And because ROTC prepares you to be an officer in the military. And in case you don't know, for the military, you have the enlisted side and you have the officer side. And so usually the split is around 80-20. 80% of the military is enlisted and 20% is officers. So that means as soon as you come in as an officer, you're in charge of leading 80% of the military. And that may seem daunting. That's a lot of people, and maybe I'm scared, I'm nervous, but that's the point of ROTC. It teaches you confidence. It teaches you good leadership principles. It gives you opportunities to practice being a leader in a more benign environment, to where you're not directly in charge of someone's life or someone's financial well-being. You're in a practice. You're in an example. You're in an exercise. And so it's a great low-threat environment to really practice and learn, how to be a good officer. And another good tidbit about ROTC is that once you join ROTC, it's not guaranteed to be in the military. So you can try it out for a year or two, see if you like it, and then get out if you don't, or stay in if you do. So don't think, if I join ROTC, it means I have to enlist or I have to be in the military. You don't. You can try it out. You can see how it works out for you, and if you like it, stay in. If you don't, you can get out with no repercussions. And so I definitely enjoyed my time in ROTC. Like I said, for me, because of engineering, it was around 5 years in length. But also, you get some unique opportunities. You get to hear from generals or retired generals, or maybe local politicians or ex-presidents get to come to some of your events. It really is a great time. And some people, they go and they fly in planes. You get to ride in AC-130s, or you get to fly in a helicopter. There really is some unique experiences. And then even the ROTC, I led our drill and marching team. So I enjoyed that for a couple years. We would take trips around the U.S. to go do marching competitions, and afterwards we got to hang out in the local town or city, so we got to see what that was about. I was also part of the recruiting team for ROTC, so I got to go to events, got to go talk to high schools, and try to spread the good word that I think is Air Force ROTC and the sort of benefits it opens up for your life.
All my friends in undergrad were ROTC, and they were also rugby players. So it's really interesting here that you happened upon ROTC at a college event, because I happened upon rugby at a college event where I met all of my ROTC friends. And you had no prior connection to the military whatsoever, which is incredible that you have forged such a path. And it's had such a profound impact on your life, both personally and professionally. Just a reminder to all of us, keep your eyes open. Sometimes life's paths come in unexpected places. You're a recipient of the Air Force Achievement Medal. Can you tell us a little more about that honor and what it means to you personally?
The Air Force Achievement Medal definitely means a lot to me. My achievement medal, I was fortunate enough to receive after my first assignment, and it really just helped put things in perspective of the things I do on a daily basis on my typical 9-to-5 job. They really do matter. They matter not only to my leadership, to my coworkers, but also to the people in the U.S. and the people around the world, that I am making a positive change for these people. And it may seem like, oh, I'm just doing another paper today, I'm seeing another email, or I'm writing this form. But after a couple years, and you summarize those, and you can really see the impact that you had, and how it just affects so many people in such a good way. And so it really just gave me a personal sense of accomplishment of, I'm doing something. Here I was, some kid from some small town in Texas. I was working at a grocery store before this. What was I going to do? And now look at me. Now I'm an officer in the Air Force, and I'm making a better change for the U.S. every day.
Congratulations to you on receiving that honor and recognition. There's really nothing like the gratification that comes from seeing your work make an impact for the better. I tell my interns and students all the time to just be driven by the why, because if they're always working towards making the world a better place, the rest will follow. So Captain Mott, tell us something about your job or something about you that might surprise people.
So as I mentioned before, here I lead the satellite navigation technology area, which is charged with researching and creating new technology for GPS, not only for the Air Force and the Space Force, but also us U.S. civilians and our everyday life. And so I just think it's neat to think about that, we have this global impact by the work we're doing every day. And then I come back and think, wow, I only have a team of about 20 people. So if you think about it, there's only 20 people coming together to do all of this amazing GPS research for the military and for the U.S. populace. And it's just crazy to think about just how much impact we have. And it's humbling and it's exciting, but it just goes to show, even if you have a small team, there's no end to what you can accomplish. And I just think that's really neat to think about. A surprising fact for myself. As I mentioned before, I grew up in a small town down in South Texas, and so naturally I grew up, hunting and fishing, and so I enjoy hunting, and the wife thoroughly enjoys fishing, and we bring the kid along, and we can do that together. I'm also happy and surprised that I'm really into video games, and I'm surprised that I still have time, even as an officer in the Air Force and being getting older now. I still have time to play video games, and it's great. Several years ago, I built my own computer, and then I built my wife a computer, so now we can play video games together. And I think that's really neat and a really great, shared experience there as a married couple. So other fun fact, so I'm actually really into pool or billiards, whatever you want to call it. So growing up, my dad, he was always really into pool, so we'd always go to different pool halls and such to go play. So I was just playing all the time as a kid. And so luckily I got a little bit older, I was able to get some money, so I was able to get a couple of my own sticks. And so much so I was able to get actually a custom pool stick from somewhere else in the world, got shipped here to the US. So now if I feel real fancy, I can go to a pool hall and pull out my stick, and people know maybe I can hold my own. So I think that's pretty neat.
Even when you're truly passionate about your job, it's so important to our physical and mental health to have hobbies and interests outside of work. For me, I like to run. It's something really important. I love to be outdoors to remind myself why I work so hard to preserve our beautiful environment. Before we close our conversation, can you give the students one takeaway or thought to leave with?
So if I had to leave you with anything, maybe you pick this up from some of my other responses and my messages, but just truly, no matter where you're from, no matter what sort of situation you're in, like I said, financially, emotionally, or grade-wise, you really do just have a limitless amount of potential inside of you, each and every one of you. Like I said earlier, I never would imagine just me being just another kid from some small town, just going on. I thought I was going to work at a grocery store for the rest of my life, which is fine, and that's great. I would have been happy. But the fact that I was able to go to college, I was able to get my bachelor's and my master's, and now I'm an officer in the Air Force, just goes to show, like, you can do anything you put your mind to. And then personally, when it comes to the Air Force, they've given me so many opportunities I never thought I would have, aside from everything else, because Air Force helped pay for my undergrad, they paid for my master's, and they gave me this job and house and family that I have, and it's amazing. And then if I had to leave with any one quote, I remember when I was very young and a teenager, I used to do all service work with the YMCA, and I met someone when we were rebuilding houses after Hurricane Katrina, to date myself. And the quote they left me with was, "Make every yesterday a memory of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope." And I live with that every day, just to remind myself that even if things seem tough, tomorrow can and will be a better day, so long as I help it make it be better. Thank you all for your time. Thank you for letting me speak with you, and feel free if you have any questions. I'm always happy to help.
I can't think of a better message to end this conversation with. Captain Mott, thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed chatting with you and hearing all about your work that truly impacts all of us.
So of course, thank you, Tracy. It was fantastic being here today. Thank you for having me. And of course, thank you everyone watching for your participation and your interest in myself and some of the Air Force and some of the things I do. It was great. It was great getting to talk to you, and feel free to, hit me up sometime. And if you decide to join the Air Force in the future, you can always find me in the global email list, and you can be like, oh, hey, I saw your video when I was back in high school, and I'd love to hear from you. So thank you all for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
It's fun to learn about careers you might not connect with in the U.S. military. Speaking of cool jobs in the Air Force, let's watch this brief video to see some more. Make sure you check out the Air Force and the Space Force online and follow them on social media to keep up with all of the amazing things that they are doing. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel in the description below and follow us on social media to get updates of new episodes. And seriously, you won't want to miss any of them. They are all incredible, such incredible people. Plus, you'll get access to fun weekly content for students and teachers, like STEM facts for students, classroom tips for teachers, and so much more. And don't forget to check out the full library of episodes available on demand right here. Each one has NGSS and CASEL-aligned lesson plans for teachers to use in the classroom. With your parents' permission, tell us how you were inspired today by tagging us at USA Science Fest, #XSTEM, and me, Inspector Planet. And keep up with me on social media at Inspector Planet on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I guess I'll start using TikTok if you will be on there. And thank you so much for listening today. I had a blast being your host. But don't sign off just yet. You'll want to stick around through the end of this video for a fun trivia game that you can do in the classroom or at home. Have fun and good luck.